Good morning. Good morning and welcome to the virtual home of Calgary Unitarians. Virtual and physical home of Calgary Unitarians. Yay! Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your search for meaning or your journey of faith, know that we're grateful to have you with us. If you're visiting for the first time or the first time for a long time, we're so happy to be together. We come together in beloved community to grow in wisdom, welcome and deepen relationships, and act for a just and sustainable world. And we start by acknowledging the land that we gather on. We recognize our responsibility to be stewards of this land and acknowledge that we do that in association with those for whom it's their traditional territory. The Blackfoot people, the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations of the Bearspaw, Chiniki, and Wesley First Nations. And we also acknowledge that Mohkinstsis, now known as Calgary, is home to Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. In offering a land acknowledgement, we honor those who have long been its caretakers and accept our shared responsibility. We acknowledge that treaties were entered into as a collaboration between settlers and First Nations peoples, and we are all treaty people. My name is Pam Rickey. I use the pronouns she and her, and I have the privilege of being on your board of trustees, and I'm your worship associate for today. I'm going to just move to an announcement. At the recent October 19th regular board meeting, the directors voted to support at the national CUC level the adoption of the 8th principle exactly as proposed by the Dismantling Racism Study Group, to fully respect the request made by BIPOC Unitarians. Regardless of the decision made at CUC's November 27th special meeting, the question of whether we will adopt the 8th principle as a congregation will be on the agenda of our December 5th, 2021 congregational meeting. And the next move in our anti-racism decolonization work is to decide how we as a congregation will move forward to take action and hold ourselves and each other accountable to this vital work. Jocelyn Keith Asante and Reverend Shelley will once again today host a forum this afternoon at 2 p.m. and are also planning future sessions for November. So please come today. The link for this afternoon's meeting was in the Friday news. The Friday, it says order of service in the subject. So we hope as many of you as can attend will attend. Come with your ideas, your fears, your questions. This is a brave space for us to all be together and discuss this vital work.
Thank you, Pam. I'm going to light our chalice this morning with the words of our covenant. And if you haven't memorized it, that's okay. You can repeat after me. We'll do it response style this time. We'll practice it more until we all know it. So repeat after me. We come together in beloved community, guided by our Unitarian Universalist principles and sources. To grow in wisdom, welcome and deepen relationships, and act for a just and sustainable world. I share with you this morning the words of Reverend Alicia Ford, who identifies as an African descent queer cisgender female with deep roots in Tobago. She's the director of the International Office of the Unitarian Universalist Association. This is her wisdom. When we pause to remember who we are, companions on this grand experiment called life, when we take a moment to shed the ways we've been carefully taught, to lead from fear, to punish the poor, to persecute those who don't look like we do, to deny rights to those who love, to believe that we're separate, that some people are superior to others. When we take a moment to shed all of that and hear our stories, hear and see each other into existence, into community, when we take a moment to embrace, to practice a different way of being, when we answer the call of love, then we are living into the promise of building the world we dream about. It is a beautiful dream to cast a vision, to stretch our minds into the future and imagine what may be if we were to build a new way of being. Not someday, but beginning again today, beginning again every day that we have breath, taking courage with these hands and these hearts to make real the dream of a more equitable world, to journey together, seeking to be transformed, even as we transform, becoming explorers and learners in this world around us, humbled by what we do not yet know, fulfilling the promise of healing a fragmented world, laboring not just in hope, but also in love. In this spirit we commit. In this spirit we pray. In this spirit we gather.
And good morning, one and all. It's great to be together with you again in this virtual space, and for all those who have gathered with us here in Panabaker Hall this morning for Sunday worship, great to see you all. Our first song this morning is There's a River Flowing in My Soul. This is in our Teal hymnal, and in the hymnal it's listed as being composed by Rose Sanders. Rose Sanders has since changed her name to Faya Rose Toure. She is a solicitor and a human rights activist, civil rights activist in Selma, Alabama. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. Here we go. Flowing in my soul.
I'm DRE Sheila, and I'm so happy to be here, and it warms my heart listening to everyone at the service singing. I just love that song, Jane, and I love hearing everyone else in the room. You know, I haven't heard that sound for a long time, so that's pretty cool. Something else that warms my heart is coming up next week, Halloween, my favorite holiday. And I've got my little bat, Stevie. Stevie, I've had probably for 10 years, and Stevie only comes out at Halloween time to hang out with me. So welcome, Stevie. Are you excited about Halloween? Oh yeah, Stevie's excited about Halloween. And we have some great things next week. Halloween falls on a Sunday, and I'm going to be hosting for everyone Trunk or Treat. Some of you might know what that is. Some of you might be like, what is Trunk or Treat? And that's where we come to the Calgary Unitarians building. There's parking at the Balmoral School parking lot, and you park and you have a bowl of candy or something to give away in your trunk, and you can decorate your trunk. You can wear a costume, but then the kids come by wearing their masks and sanitized hands, and they get a treat and they go along. And so it's just kind of a safe, easy way to distance socially while being together and having a great time for Halloween. And not only that, not only trunk or treat, 6:30 to 7:30 next week, Sunday. Hope you're there. I'll also have a fire pit in the back garden right behind the Calgary Unitarians building to warm up. I'll be serving hot chocolate, and there will be a spooky maze. So you'll want to come out for that. 6:30 to 7:30, wear a costume. You know, you don't need to have kids. You can come out, and if you just want to be like, I want to see the kids, I want to hand out some candy, come on down. It's going to be a good time. And today, I'm still excited about Halloween next week. That's all I'm thinking about. But today, back to today, we are talking more about our 8th principle. And so I thought, what story should I tell today? And one came up where the authors were thinking about how when there's two sides of an issue, where some might say, oh, they're on the red team, and other people might say they're on the blue team, and they came up with this idea. The authors are Kristen Bell and Benjamin Hart, and the book they wrote is called The World Needs More Purple People. And here we go. The world needs more purple people. Ta-da! Follow my guide to become a purple person. Now you might be asking yourself, why in the wide world would I want to be purple? Purple is a magic color made when red and blue work together. I think all the best things in the world are purple. But you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with people? Wow. Are you a genius? Because you're already on your way to becoming a purple person. And do you want to know why? Step 1, ask really great questions. My dad says purple people ask great questions, questions about everything, even questions about questions. Hey, Dad, how far away is outer space? Have you ever met a dolphin? How many dolphins live in outer space? Purple questions are the kind that help you learn something really big about the world or something really small about another person. How tall is the world's tallest rainbow? What's your bear's name? Charlie. Dad says more purple questions you ask, the more purple you become. How many do you think there are? He also says I can only ask him 20 questions about space dolphins per day. That makes sense. Step number 2, laugh a lot. My grandma says people laugh a lot. We're always laughing together. I mean, like snot out of the nose laughing. We laugh at books, we laugh at jokes. How do you make a tissue dance? You put a little boogie in it. I know some of you were thinking, ew, some of you were saving that joke for later. We laugh at donkey dances and hairy elephant knees. And especially we laugh at Grandpa's funny noises. Ha ha, ha ha. purple, laughing helps us remember the things we share and forget and we thought made us different. And it's almost impossible to be angry when you're laughing. Try it, I dare you. Grandma says the more purple laughing you do, the more purple you become. She also says Grandpa's noises are her favorite funny noises in the whole wide world. Number 3, use your voice and don't lose your voice. My mom says purple people use their voice and don't lose their voice. She encourages me to sing using my voice. My dad, the one with the hairy chest who loves me more than all the rest. To give good ideas, let's wear monster costumes to school. And to share my opinions, I personally feel like we shouldn't have to eat Brussels sprouts because they smell like sweaty socks. Sometimes people lose their voice, and that's okay, it happens. A purple voice helps someone who is having trouble finding their own voice. Purple people don't just speak up, they also listen. Maybe you could tell them you don't like it when they call you that name. Want me to help you tell them? Mom says the more you use a purple voice, the more purple you become. Mom, can you help me with my play? She also says she heard my opinion about Brussels sprouts, but I still have to eat them. I'm going to work on a better argument. Step number 4. Work hard. Purple work is the kind of work that's done together to change something that needs changing. What do we want? More playgrounds. When do we want them? Now? When something needs fixing or someone needs helping. Grandpa says the more purple work you do, the more purple you become. He also says that no purple work has ever been done while sitting on your backside sipping strawberry lemonade. Okay, are you ready for the last step? Are you ready? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you really, really sure? All right, drum roll, please. Number 5, paint yourself purple. Just kidding. That's not the way to become purple. Actually, being a purple person has nothing to do with what you look like. My teacher says purple people look all sorts of ways. They're big and small and old and young, and some wear cool coats, and some wear shorts with lots of pockets, and some wear funny hats. She says some purple people feel blue sometimes and red other times, and some purple people even have green hair. Like my teacher always says, purple people come in every color you can dream up and every size you can think of. And the only way to be purple is to just be you, because you are the only you we've got. So those are my surefire steps into turning into a purple person. Hey, wait a minute. Well, I'll be a llama's mama. Mama, you've been beautifully purple this whole time. And I'm sure glad you're a purple person, because the world needs more purple people just like you. All right, I'm starting to feel a little more purple already. And in this week's CYRE Children and Youth newsletter, there's actually a 30-page activity sheet for our children and youth to work on being more purple. So that's very exciting. You want to check that out. And today, as we join the discussion on the 8th principle today at 2 o'clock after the service, just remember, you are purple if you ask really great questions, you laugh a lot, you use your voice all the time, you're a really hard worker, and you're totally you.
We start our time of care and concern today with a prayer of reconciliation by my friend, Reverend Ann Barker. We gather with a hunger for reconciliation. What is done cannot be undone. What's done next must be done with care. We gather because we are hopeful, because we have visions and dreams of a brighter future, that there may be more than vision in this room. These are the wounds we must heal together. Grief and anger for all that has been lost, guilt or fear in the reliving, pain that has gone without sufficient comfort, mistrust that was earned, that continues burning still. Every injury we may have named and yet still carry, those we haven't, can't, or dare not speak aloud. Those we're not ready to make public. Those still not recognized, accepted, understood. These are all wounds that seek replacement, not cancellation or denial. Wounds we will tend cautiously, applying the salve of understanding, forming scars that mark our history without disfiguring the future we might share. This is not a time for quick solutions, fancy talking. This is a slow precision. This is a prayer for peace. We are new at this endeavor, new at listening, new at hearing, new at taking enough time to honestly receive one another's stories. What is done cannot be undone. What is done next must be done with care. We gather because we are hopeful, because we have visions and dreams of a brighter future. May the strength of this time together help us to move forward. May the wisdom of this experience help us to know our path. May we have the courage to return as often as necessary until our way is clear. May we have the perseverance together to see it through. May we cause it to be so. And now's the time for sharing our joys and concerns, the things that are too important not to share, and time for holding the things that we cannot speak in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. If you're online with us, you may share in the chat now. I light a candle for all the joys, the celebrations, the excitement, the hope, all that is good and right with the world. And I light a candle for our sorrows, our grief, our anger and disappointment, anxieties and doubts, things which we can help each other carry. And a candle for the whole world. May everyone know peace. May everyone find comfort. May everyone know a community of love and belonging like this one to help get them through the darkest of nights and have hope in the dawn. Please join me in singing meditation on breathing.
This is a piece that has several different parts to it. Some of you know this one really well, and you know that you can sing any part of this at any moment. For those for whom this may be a brand new piece, feel free to sing along with me as we go. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe
Unitarian Universalism at its core is all about covenantal community. The spiritual practice of covenanting is our shared process theology. We have different personal theologies, but we have a shared process theology, covenanting. We're not united not by a single set of shared beliefs, but by the quality and integrity of the covenantal relationships we form together. Covenanting is our shared process theology. It unites us in accountably practicing our values and serving our mission together. Our shared Unitarian Universalist process theology is a living covenant. Covenanting is a verb. We embody and enact the covenant together. The spiritual practice of covenanting is our shared process theology. As we continue the conversation about our proposed eighth principle, I want to draw your attention to the fact that our principles are in fact the tenets of a covenant. Last night I was talking to Conrad, who's here today. Where are you, Conrad? There's Conrad, right in the front row. Hi, Conrad. Conrad's a member of our board of trustees and a very wise person. He suggests we don't need to call them principles at all because, duh, they're covenants. That's what they are. And we need to practice them together, not just list them on the wall. Covenanting is a verb. We embody and enact the covenant together. We covenant to affirm and promote. That's how every principle starts. And this is precisely why the eighth principle, the covenant, is one of those principles. It fits in that category. If that's what we're going to continue to call them, we might change it. It belongs there with the others, and in my opinion, it's the new role model, actually, for how we can transform those other principles back into accountability covenants that we practice together. That's how they're intended to work. That's how they're intended to be practiced, and we need to practice them more faithfully and intentionally together. The Unitarian Universalist Association had a commission on appraisal that studied covenant, and they recently published their report called Unlocking the Power of Covenant. I want to share some insightful excerpts from it, and I encourage you to read the whole thing. It's awesome. The commission tells us, as individuals and as congregations and staff, as lay people and religious professionals, we are called to seriously reflect and deliberate on what it means to be a covenanted community of faith and what it means to serve such a community. A covenant, a promise, can only exist with intention and can only be kept alive with attention. Covenant is essential to what Unitarian Universalism is, and we are inattentive to it at our peril. It's the source of strength, focus, clarity, and mission. There's more wisdom. This thing is amazing. A covenant is relational, and by mutual definition, it's horizontal, not hierarchical. It's inclusive, not exclusive. It's a web of support that holds all, and yet is dependent on all. For some in our faith movement, this covenanting is a manifestation of the process whereby the sacred and humanity are co-creators of the interdependent web, of the future itself. Others see in the covenant the sanctity of community, an indwelling of the divine within each and within the whole. Being a part of a religious community is a personal commitment, they tell us. It reflects the Unitarian Universalist theological vision. Namely, we are a part of an interdependent web of all existence. We see the nature of existence as fundamentally interdependent or covenantal. Being in community, then, is not incidental to being a Unitarian Universalist, but it is intrinsic and inescapable. It begins with accepting responsibility for affirming and promoting our central mission, the shared ministry of the religious community in service to the world. A religious community needs both mission, its reason for being, its purpose, and covenant, its agreement about commitment to one another. By contrast, in his article, The End of iChurch by Reverend Fred Muir, he stated, individualism will not serve the greater good, a principle to which we Unitarian Universalists have committed ourselves in the past. Little to nothing about the ideology and theology of individualism encourages people to work and live together, to create and support institutions that serve common aspirations and imperfect creatures who need each other. It also relentlessly isolates us from each other, and it makes genuine community impossible. It's a good article by Fred. So again, I give you the star attraction of the eighth principle, accountability. It's an accountability covenant, as all the principles are meant to be. The report says accountability covenants are holy agreements or promises that we make with one another in the presence of the sacred, however we define sacred, that help us order our lives. Unitarian Universalism as a religious movement needs covenants as a way of maintaining balance between individualism and community, and also to maintain accountability within the movement's various structures. Unitarian Universalism has adopted covenants as a means of holding its members accountable to one another and to the larger faith tradition. Covenants are the grounding practice of accountability to one another. I'm going to say it again. The eighth principle is an accountability covenant. The commission gives us more. It's so juicy. The definition of covenanting. It's the process of the members learning to live together in loving and supporting relationships or right relation. Human voluntary communities usually establish guidelines and expectations for the right way to live with one another, but knowing is not enough. We almost always need reminders, I do, reinforcements, and repercussions to bolster these norms if we're to abide by them. That's the purpose of accountability. When we speak of being accountable to our fellow human beings, what we're really describing is accepting responsibility for our actions, thoughts, intents, and outcomes. When we speak of being accountable to our fellow human beings, what we are really describing is accepting responsibility for our actions, thoughts, intents, and outcomes. Accountability might be defined as the degree to which you can articulate why you do something and be answerable for doing it. There are so many great quotes in this report. I love this one. I want to put this on the wall. Accountability might be defined as the degree to which you can articulate why you do something and be answerable for doing it. Covenants have accountability at their core. That's what gives them their power to transform individuals from a jumble of free spirits doing whatever they want into communities of people who are guided by a set of agreed upon norms and expectations, voluntary, self-created norms of conduct that allow the communities to do more together than individuals can do alone. Accountability is the binder of covenant. It holds the covenant together and it gives it strength and durability. Covenants must have a defined resolution process. Unlike a contract in which rule breaking triggers punishment, broken covenants require a resolution process in order that the breach may be healed. Broken covenants require a resolution process in order that the breach may be healed. Indeed, how we manage breaks in covenant is demonstrative of our commitment to covenant. What an amazing report, and that's just an excerpt. It's my turn. Covenanting is the process through which we build beloved community, as we've been discussing for the past several weeks. Building beloved community is an antidote to white supremacy culture and rampant individualism. We want to dismantle those things. We need to get them down, but we have to have something to replace them with. Structures to build back up. We have to do both. Covenanting is the process of collective liberation. It's how we all get free together from the division, the injustice, the iniquity, the inhumanity. Not to be undertaken lightly, never ever done perfectly, not happening without courage and really big risks, vulnerability, humility, curiosity, love, compassion, forgiveness, and grace. Because we know we sometimes make mistakes, even really big ones, and we need to heal the breach, forgive, and begin again in love. Need to learn to be purple people. As Unitarian Universalists, we're being called to rise and carry out the moral and ethical mandates of our highest aspirations. Those 7 principles, those other 7, I think they're the ones that we need to change the wording on, because they've been stuck up there in the land of aspiration all by themselves, kind of up there in an abstract cloud for way too long. We need to reclaim every single one of them as accountability covenants with action items, spiritual strategic planning, ends that serve our missions. We can only do that as a community. Every congregation must do that for itself together, because the congregation is made up of all of you. And it's the special combination of all of us working together that will, from which our covenants will emerge and our actions will take place in the world. It's a living process. And we need that 8th accountability covenant. We need it to help us heal the serious chronic devastation in those Grand Canyon-sized breaches caused by white supremacy culture. So many breaches in need of healing in ourselves, in our institution, and in the world around us. We want to covenant to help each other do this hard thing. We need to be there for each other, or else we're not going to see it. We're not going to be able to change our thinking and our way of doing things. We're not going to be terribly effective at changing the world all by ourselves. We need each other to see all these different perspectives and realities, and to help us when we get overwhelmed by the fact that there are so many realities, and that the ones we thought we could count on really aren't actually true. Oh, wow. Thank goodness I have a community to hold me accountable and help me get through that. It's a hard one. The work is our mission. This is what we're here to do. It's why we exist. And it's calling us. It's really demanding work. It's messy. It's often painful. We make mistakes. And the work is never really finished. It's a lifelong process, a living tradition that goes well beyond our lifetimes. Revelation is not sealed. Covenants are not carved in stone. They change over time because they are a shared, embodied process theology. We're changing. We're transforming. The covenants change with us. Transformation is one of the main goals of our work together as a community. Of course, our accountability covenants transform with us. A reminder from the report, a covenant is relational and mutual by definition. It's horizontal, not hierarchical. It's inclusive, not exclusive. It's a web of support that holds all and yet is dependent on all. For some in our faith movement, this covenanting is a manifestation of the process whereby the sacred and humanity are co-creators of the interdependent web, of the future itself. Others see the covenant as the sanctity of community, an indwelling of the divine within each and in the whole. Covenant. It's a beautiful thing. May we make it so. And in that spirit of covenant, as that web of support that holds all and is yet dependent on all, let us now covenant together through the joyous practice of singing. Keep on moving forward. May rise in body or spirit and sing together.
This may be a new song for lots of us, but the melody repeats, so join in when you feel comfortable. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Keep on loving boldly. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna reach across our borders. Reach across our borders. Reach across our borders. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna reunite the family. Reunite the family. Reunite the family. Never turning back. Never turning back. Gonna keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back. Never turning back.
In learning to do this work together, in learning how to be accountable in relationship and call each other into covenant and back again, it's often helpful if we start with an exploration of our own identities, and they are many. It helps us get in touch with how complex everyone's story is. That to categorize a person by a single fact or a single story or a single stereotype Well, it's just plain silly. We all have so much that goes into our identities. I want to share a poem with you by Alicia Chambers called On the Question of Race. They asked me to write down my race, and I think very seriously. And I consider writing down the truth, and I have my answer read. I have a strong woman, colored like coffee, whispering the secrets of our past inside this body. I have a wise man, dark as chocolate, beating his drum, fighting for freedom inside this body. I have a brave woman, pale as snow, reminding that we are more than meets the eye. Her secret is safe inside this body. I have a lost man, colored like me. He is weak, stumbling from place to place, trying to find his way home, warning me of everything I do not want to become. I have all this music in this body, the rhythms guiding me. Salsa, merengue, swing, songs of freedom and hope, a name that can't begin to communicate where I've been or where I plan to go inside this body. They asked me to write down my race, and I think very seriously, and I consider writing down the truth and have my answer read. I have the heart of my grandmother, the strength of Mia Abuelita, the spirit of my grandfather, and my mother's understanding inside this body. I have Jax, Dr. Seuss, Lullaby and Goodnight, and marbles inside this body. I have Ray Charles, James Taylor, Bob Marley, Sly and the Family Stone, and we five inside this body. I have a brother whose appearance does not reveal his culture. I have all our past and so much future inside this body, but I stop. And I simply write down other. What is your truth? What lives inside your body? And what would it be like to have your truth read?
We'll receive our offering this morning to the words of Erica Hewitt, slightly modified. What we say yes to. The offering we give each Sunday isn't just a stale habit. It's an opportunity to recommit to this community and to this people. Our offering is an affirmation, a yes. When we give, we say yes to something we value. With our gifts freely given, may we say yes to the values of our faith. May our offering help us practice Unitarian Universalism within and beyond our congregation as tools to empower our mission, to grow in wisdom, welcome and deepen relationship, and work for a just and sustainable world. Options for donating will appear on our screens, and for those here in person, a basket is on the table at the back of the hall for donations as you leave the service.
In closing, I'm going to share with you a poem by Louise Half, our parliamentary poet laureate. If I could, I would sing the land, let it drift into your mouth, slide down your parched throat, moisten the bone lodge that houses your heart, where my elders teach intelligence resides. If I could, I would cup your face, guide it toward the sun, allow the gentle winds to wipe your sorrows down the furrows of your skin. If I could, I'd cross the rivers, guide you through the murky, turbulent flow on the footprints of the rocks, take you to the distant shore. We've met, you and I, spirits sharing this common space. We've made brief eye contact, examined each other head to toe as we hurried by. Your country has been my sorrow, muddled fear and caution that brought confusion and terror to my tribes. My country lives in the muscle memory, the grandmothers and grandfathers hovering by my side. Yet here we are, history having woven us together, our forefathers, our foremothers at our feet. They wait to share this feast where intelligence resides. I yearn for a community that has the ears of a moose, the wide heavens of the eagle's eye, the curious smile of the mouse, releasing us from these wounded hearts. I echo my ancestors' words, Tawau, there is room. I hope to see all of you at 2 p.m. for our continued conversation. And now, please join me in singing, Wo Ya Ya.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we how we will get there, but we know we will. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, yeah. Whoa, yeah, 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 yeah. Friends, thank you so much for joining us for this morning's service. For those who have joined us online, please join us for virtual coffee hour. The link to the Zoom coffee hour will shortly appear in the chat area of your Zoom screen. For folks who are here live and in person with us this morning, thank you so much for being here. It makes such a difference to all of us who are presenting worship to have your energy here with us as well. So thank you for making this space and time. And please join us in the Wickenden Garden for conversation after the service. To all of us, don't forget, 2 o'clock on Zoom, we continue our conversation about the 8th principle, and we look forward to seeing you all there. Have a joyous day.